Hey everybody, what's going on? Fabian for Liberty, fabianforliberty.com. Yes, my hair is a mess, and I'm still in bed. I woke up this morning a little bit under the weather, but I had to do this video today because I literally had a stack on my bedside, on my nightside table, whatever, like probably this big of articles about the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And I did a video about this, I think, sometime last year. Secretive trade deal that is now being labeled a partnership, which is very New World Order-ish sounding to me. But nonetheless, it's a secret trade deal. In fact, so secret that just until recently, members of Congress have been able to review it. A couple days ago, Rand Paul was able to enter a room where the document was laid over 800 pages. His staff had assigned non-disclosure agreements, basically saying, you talk about this, we're going to throw you in prison. So why so secret? Why so secretive is this trade deal? Well, there's two components I'm going to talk about amongst many other components in the trade deal that I think are, or what a lot of the people that have analyzed it and have gotten some of the documents leaked to them have come out and said. But let's just look through this as a historical lens, and then I want to paint the picture of why I think this agreement's even being proposed and why it's eventually going to be signed into law or whatever it is. First is trade deals typically mean bad news for the American working class and middle class. Whether it's NAFTA or CAFTA, back then Bill Clinton, even Al Gore were like, oh, this is a progressive trade bill, it's really, really good. Yeah, no, it's not. In fact, in the last 10 years, since the early 2000s, because of NAFTA and CAFTA, we have had over 80,000, ladies and gentlemen, 80,000 factories in America close down and go overseas. Now, truth is that those factories may have left, they may have not left. The world's fundamentally changing through automation, through robots, through globalization. So the changes are coming, and the American economy needs to adapt or it's game over. It's not adapting. In fact, it's going in the opposite direction to make things much worse. Just ask the people in Seattle, where the minimum wage now is $15, and oops, you can't get a job, and not to mention all the restaurants that are closing because they can't pay their workers $15 an hour when the value they bring is maybe $8 to $11 an hour. See? But I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself. The trade deals historically have ended really bad for the American people. In fact, I'm all for free trade. But if you're engaged in free trade, why do you need an 800-page document? It should be, hey, look, you trade with me, I trade with you, great. Or me as a private individual, I should be able to go trade with whoever I want without government telling me what I can or cannot do. Of course, unless people are getting murdered or there's some kind of crazy component to it. But the bottom line is that that's real free trade. NAFTA and CAFTA are not free trade agreements. Instead, what they do is they hurt the American economy to basically transfer wealth to emerging countries. Now, who benefits the most from some of these deals? Well, countries like China. That's why I think the reasoning behind the secrecy of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and I have no proof of this, ladies and gentlemen, other than my research and people that I speak with, some who do agree with this that are at a high level of the financial world, that it's very possible the TPP actually includes a lot of the structured deal with a global economic reset. All this stuff comes back to economics. If you've been following my work on the global economic reset, you know that I think the dollar is going to lose its world reserve currency, likely replaced by a basket of currencies with the East having a strong influence in that basket of currencies. And ultimately, it could be the Chinese, it could be a new currency that comes out that will replace the dollar, and it's going to be very painful for consumers here at home and people who, have their money in the bank, whatever, because it's going to be a huge money devaluation. So they're setting the plans in place right now for that, right? And the plan is basically pretty simple. Let's allow corporatist multinational companies who are set up in all these other countries, let's allow them to basically get away with whatever they want. And let's allow the Wall Street bankers to continue to exploit the middle class and the American people. Best example, sucking out $9 trillion out of the economy, or out of the middle class economy, through their low interest rate policies. Now, two things in this bill, or in this partnership agreement, One is that, well, corporations now would be exempt in many ways, many times from facing lawsuits from consumers or, activists that are saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe Monsanto shouldn't be killing all the honeybees, or maybe they shouldn't be, spraying Roundup on all these vegetables. You see what I'm saying? So they are now the corporatists, multinational, 1% of 1%, that have bought and paid our government and own our government, are now getting further power, not to mention the big banks on Wall Street, which many of the financial regulations we know Obama's already done away with the derivative regulations, but now they could literally operate carte blanche, get away with whatever they want. The banks and the regulations that have been passed against these big banks, yeah, those are going to be much easier for the big banks to get around in this Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal. So those are the two biggest things that I see. It's like, okay, if it is a global economic reset that is coming, if the world's fundamentally changing, they may need to, right now, and they've been doing this already for a little bit, they need to fundamentally alter the way multinationals do business. They need to allow banks to continue to operate with impunity, let them get away with more speculation, more high-risk bets where they put, in essence, the American workers' capital and Americans' middle class capital at play in their risky bets. So it is an absolute disaster. And yes, I do believe, for the record, the TPP does include the baseline agreements that we will see in the new global economic reset. They're trying to position this as, oh, this is a big trade deal for America, and it shows how strong America still is and the influence it has around the world. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. I think it's something that we definitely should be looking out for. And let me just say one last thing before I wrap it up. I've gotten easily over 300 emails about the Jade Helm 15 military training exercises that are taking place in Texas and 9 other states. I can't tell you military training exercises has been taking place in America for 200 plus years. But I don't trust my government. And I don't think someone's a conspiracy theorist for basically saying, you know what, I don't want federal troops in my state because it's not that I don't necessarily trust the troops. I think they might be good people. I don't trust the people that are running the military. That's the bottom line. Pretty simple. And if that's being conspiratorial, then guess what? I'm a freaking major conspiracy theorist, all right? But I'll talk more about that on today's podcast, Jade Helm 15, as well as this Trans-Pacific Partnership. Again, I'm Fabian Calvo, Fabian for Liberty. You can check me out at fabiancalvo.me or fabianforliberty.com. Thank you for watching. I'm out.